Whenever I screen share. Oh, so
they could go on there and watch it.
yeah, I actually send on an invitation. Keep that somewhere.
Yes, so it's 25 states and advice and that percent, but there's a bug going around because Darren and his family was growing up with diarrhea and Dave Sharps had it, and we had some of the rest of the hospital had it, so I said, "There's a bug going on." So that was great, I thought. I'm not with the age, I think this.
I'm gonna try to invite me in.
I watched after it's done. This is the on children.
Okay. No. Okay. Luckily, I could edit it out. It's been live for like a few minutes. I could edit it outward. That's starting point.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
Are you going yet? Not yet?
Well, just ready to get started.
Huh?
Well, just get ready to get started. Hey, can you mute your microphone? So that and then unmute it whenever you have a question. Are you using your phone? All right. So to meet the national requirements for your seat and use, we're going to do tonight. We're going to go over workplace wellness and safety, and then also therapeutic communication. Hi.
Hello.
Hey, can you mute your microphone?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. Yeah, just mute it and then unmute it if you have a question. So, the objectives of this chapter, the thing I'm using is reviews VMS safety statistics and prevalence, matching of prevention strategies to actual threats, review of key elements of lifting and moving, infection control, emphasis on the importance of a wellness plan.
I do have a question.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
What are we supposed to do with our, like, sharks and biohazard?
So what it goes right along with this.
I know, that's what made me think of it.
You have to either get a hold of a disposal company, or you might be able to make an agreement to pay Elk City X amount of dollars to have them dispose it. But somebody has to. There has to be a special company that disposes it. I see who Roger Mills uses.
Yeah, because I'm like, I think we had, we actually, the mistake can we stuck them under a cabinet down there, but I think we've got 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Sharps containers, they have to be disposed of.
Yeah,
by.
they did, and we're like.
All right. So now more than ever, and understand that I'm using a combined refresher slides. So whenever it says paramedics or EMT, it actually just means everybody. So now more than ever, EMTs must employ multiple strategies to ensure their safety. You have disease transmission, recognition of a dangerous scene, personal safety, health and wellness. Some of these are kind of silly. The health and wellness, we all try that. We all try different things, going on different diets, starting to exercise. Some people, stick with that and do really well. We're the type of people though that our lifestyle makes it really hard to stay consistent with it. But it's important to try to get the exercise, try to eat properly. But outside of that, I think it's very, very important to talk about recognition of a dangerous scene and personal safety. I feel like out here in Western Oklahoma, in many rural areas, that we take those two items a little too lightly. We know the people that were going on, or at least we think we do, and so we let our guard down, and that in itself could create a very dangerous situation. So I hammer this. This is actually one of my soapbox issues, which is scene safety. So it'll be fun to talk about. So actual safety threats. The leading cause of deaths to EMS providers is being involved in a motor vehicle crash. Speaking on that, is it really prudent for us to drive 90 miles an hour on these roads? And the studies are going to say no, it's not. Makes us feel better whenever we drive fast, get there, load the patient. But the reality of it is all we are going to do, we're not actually, I guess, the instance of you getting on scene that 1 or 2 minutes faster and actually saving the patient are so rare that it's not worth the risk that you just put yourself into. I'm not going to say that we don't make a difference and we don't save people, because there are times we get there just enough time to give them the shot of the EpiPen before they go into they completely stop breathing from an anaphylactic reaction. And so I'm not going to say that we don't save people. I'm just going to say that us driving 90, 95 or being on the governor the whole time is going to make you a better EMT. It's not. As a matter of fact, if you have a tire blowout, the appropriate thing to do is actually hit the gas. Have I done a EVOC course for you guys? Come in and talk about it. One of the videos I show is that they, whenever you have a blowout, you actually need enough of your. You don't want to be on the governor, because you want to be able to hit the accelerator and overcome that sideways force that it's going to pull you over to the ditch. Once you overtake that force, then you slow down and pull over to the side of the road. But it's that initial tire blowing and that force pulling you over the side of the road that you need to be able to accelerate. So is it wise for us to be sitting at the governor the whole time that we're driving? It's really not. So plus, you have a deer jump out in front of you, somebody run a stop sign, all kinds of other fun things like that. But EMS providers are less likely to die from a heart attack as to be murdered. But wait a minute. EMS providers are less likely to die from a heart attack as to be murdered. What does that mean?
I'm not sure.
It's almost like a double negative. EMS providers are less likely to die from a heart attack. So we're more likely to die from being murdered?
That sounds like it's saying. I'm not real sure.
Huh. Leading cause of injury in the EMS workplace include back injuries and exposures to bloodborne pathogens. Luckily, Roger Mills EMS and Leedey EMS, and I think you guys actually beat us to the punch on this one, did the power load systems, power load cots, and everything, which are going to help keep your EMTs in the field longer, reduce any claims that you have on workman's comp for back injuries. Believe it or not, even in a small service like what we work in, those things will save themselves money and save your back. There's Brian.
Unless it's kind of like the fire department's work night, when you say you're going to work, nobody goes up.
Oh, did you guys have a work
Nobody
night?
show up? I didn't have my phone there with me.
Where's the-
Sign-in sheet. Oh, that's
So nobody showed up?
Well, there's some of them did, and we done had a little discussion about one.
so.
Are you staying or are you going? What are you saying?
We're testing hoses. Third and Wednesdays was horrible.
No, that's fine. We talked about it. I was gonna move it, but I'm already scheduled to do CPR classes. So I said, well, you guys could just, you guys
No, it ain't
watch
right.
on the YouTube.
I do now.
So,
I like it.
so,
Don's listening on the computer. Hello, Don.
leading cause of injury in the EMS workplace include back injuries, which we just talked about. Those cots, the power load systems are great at reducing it. Does it 100% eliminate it? No, it's not going to, but it's going to help. And then exposure to bloodborne pathogens, and this is usually through a needle stick, but it could also be through somebody spitting blood in your face or your mouth, your eyes, or
They don't want to spit at me because I put a mask.
yeah, and
Instead of me wearing a mask, I put it on them.
yeah, and they actually, and that's a good thing. They actually make spit masks for people that are spitting. Now, we have the patients that it's not any fault of their own. One time I had a guy that got hit in the face with a shovel, and I could not cover his face because I was dealing with his airway the whole time. Well,
Right.
when we got done, there's blood spray all over the ambulance, and it's just because of that. And I actually had an exposure on that one to Hep C. He was Hep C positive. I got blood in my eyes. I could have worn some sort of eye protection to reduce that, but I guess I'm just like everybody else. If you don't normally wear glasses, you get yourself in the middle of a scene before middle of a situation before you even realize it happened. Yeah, and it's
But
like
we had a guy that came up from the ER and he bit his tongue. He had a super big tongue, and he was spitting, and he was doing it to be a jerk. That's what he was doing. And I said, I don't have to deal with you. I just
Yeah.
put the mask on him.
Yeah.
I was going to spit all over himself.
so. Yeah, so be careful of that. But a big one that we could prevent, especially us advanced and paramedics, is the needle sticks. Don't try not to get in the habit of after you get that IV to throw that needle on the back of the bench. I've worked with medics that do that. Most everybody I see out here in Western Oklahoma take the needle sticks pretty seriously, and
Do you
so
not have the,
we do.
I was going to say, we have the ones that,
Yeah, and don't count on those.
I know, but
we
not, yeah.
we had a needle stick because of
Thank
one.
you.
It
Go all the way in.
didn't go well in. But everybody out here seems to be pretty cognizant of the risk. In the big city, when I worked in Wichita, we just throw it on the back. Not we. I've worked with people that throw it on the back of the bench, and then you get the guy that's in the back cleaning, and then reach back there, and all of a sudden they just got themselves a needle stick. Especially on your big codes where you have stuff everywhere, and they're just picking up trash by the handful. Be careful about that. Be careful picking up trash just without knowing what it is. Somebody could have, maybe not an IV catheter, but maybe a needle that they gave medication to. Now your chances of contracting anything through that are slim to none because it doesn't have direct contact with the blood, but it's still going to be a needle stick. Not one too many. So injury prevention and wellness should focus on all threats. Data collection is needed to address concerns and design systems to protect providers.
Are you recording this?
Yeah.
For your,
I'm recording it for you.
no, but how for you, can we ask some questions?
Yeah.
I had a little scare the other day with a cat. Flying, walking in circles, rabies still come up.
Oh, yeah.
Holy smokes. Talk about puckering me up.
So was it a rabies?
No, but it was showing that.
So that could be another
And I
thing.
mean, that could be something else. You have to be talking about bloodborne pathogens.
Definitely.
But I mean, somebody get exposed and like that deal.
In scene safety, people don't realize that cows and calves can be exposed to
Oh,
rabies.
there's been cases of rabies.
It's,
If it's just blind walking in circles, I mean, stupid. I mean, turned out she's diamond deficient.
yeah,
That I was scared.
Yeah.
And I got her in a mess with her. And,
You don't have to remember to write it down. We used to have to remember to write it
you're
down.
brave.
yeah, but I never thought about it
Yeah.
until after, I fell symptoms.
And you're like, oh yeah, that could have been rabies. So Brian just gave it an instance where he just messed with a calf, but he later thought, hey, that could have had rabies. So it's just something like we were talking about. You find yourself in these situations sometimes before you even realize that it's a situation. And so,
Yeah, I mean,
so.
30 minutes.
I'm gone.
See you later, Brian. So situational awareness is important, especially on an ambulance. You know, like I said, sometimes it would have just some of the things I've done, like the story of the guy getting hit in the face with a shovel. All it would have taken me is looking down before I went and held C-spine, took it over from the firefighter, and I probably wouldn't have had blood spit in my eye. So I would have seen that he had a huge gash in his face, and I would have worn some eye protection. Data collection, usually it's done for research the research side of EMS, which EMS is getting into. Usually it's done by larger services, and then the information is passed down to the smaller services, and we develop practices based on within reason of what we could do to meet what they have found. So sometimes it is what it is. So responding to actual threats, wellness, and injury prevention. So motor vehicle crashes account for nearly 80% of EMS line of duty deaths. It is imperative to safely operate the ambulance. Seatbelts save lives, and seatbelts worn inside the ambulance can protect the EMS provider. I'll talk briefly on a few of these things. One thing is that's a huge statistic. 80% of EMS line of deaths are due to vehicle crashes. I believe that number includes when you're on a scene of a car crash and you also get hit. So what we could do is make sure whenever we're on these scenes, you guys have your reflective vests. Make sure you wear those reflective vests. And I have driven through scenes before, and I didn't about remember somebody, but I watch these responders not even paying attention. They're focused on the scene, just walking right out in front of traffic. So you always have to be aware and always cognizant of what's going on around you, and understand that these people are rubbernecking. They could run you over, or they could run into the back of your ambulance. So always be careful of that. We're getting ready to be required by the state to do a TIMS class, which is a traffic incident management system. Hoping I become an instructor, so what I could do your guys' TIMS, because it can be required to renew. But it will go over things such as parking, proper parking of an ambulance on a scene for your protection and things like that. Which we could always use reminders and refreshers on how to do that. I know that I've had the ambulance the back of the pack before, and it's not until we're loading the patient and cars are coming up on us, I'm like, maybe we're not in the best place here. So it is imperative to safely operate the ambulance. This starts way before you jump in the ambulance to go to a scene. And I'm not sure on how Leedey does their checks, but we do a daily check, and one of the things is tire pressures and your all your fluids. Accidents can happen even whenever you're checking all these things. Blowouts can happen, but you reduce that risk whenever you're starting the game with tires at the proper pressure, fluids at the right level. And so I feel it's important, if you're going to respond that day or be on call that day, that you at least check your tire pressures and look over your ambulance. Seatbelts save lives. I have a few EMTs that whenever they're with me, I have to eat on them because they won't wear their seatbelt. But I firmly believe that seatbelts save lives. I don't know how many dead people have you taken out of a car that were seatbelted in? Not very many. I'm not going to say I haven't, because I have undone the seatbelt and taken somebody out with a broken neck. But I've also run a whole bunch more people that would have been better off if they would have stayed in that vehicle. The vehicle wasn't all that bad, plenty of room in the vehicle, and they're either dead or they have some severe head injuries or pelvic injuries from being ejected, and sometimes the vehicle rolling over. So that kind of applies to us too. In the back of the ambulance, the state has become real big on everything in the back of the ambulance being secured. And you guys with your power load system, power load cots, did you guys get the new mattresses yet? I highly recommend you look at the X Restraint mattress and straps. It's not a big investment for you, and it'll make your make everything on your ambulance, not everything, it'll make your patient restraint system 20G crash rated. So I don't know what the current crash rating is, but the new standard will be 20G crash rating, which the X Restraint's just the straps come right over the shoulders and they cross.
I think somebody came and got a patient at the hospital and they had the new straps. And I really think that you could do it with the straps you have.
You may be able to.
Because all it was is we're a different position of the straps.
Well, and it actually.
And they cross.
It actually mounts down at the bottom and then comes up and then goes through your mattress. So you have to get the mattress.
Oh, okay, so maybe it wasn't what it was like.
Yeah, and then it crosses in front, and then you have so you have two across the front, one across the lap, one across the knees, and one across the ankles. And what that is so that what they're finding is that in these crashes, the patients are because of how we have our shoulder straps, they're going all the way to the end of those shoulder straps because they're at the top of the cot, and typically before they're stopped, their head is hitting the captain's chair. And so they're breaking their neck in the captain's chair. And so, that will help, that helps reduce that. Anything that's not flying at you as the medic in the captain's chair is a good thing. So if your patient isn't flying at you, it's a good thing. That's why your O2 cylinder should be secured. Your monitors should be secured. Whether it's with a seatbelt or they have some pretty cool monitor mounting things.
I think ours were supposed to come with that.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to. And
I don't remember seeing them, but they were supposed to come with that strap to where we could just strap our monitor on the counter.
Gotcha. So
And even our computers.
yeah, that's that's a good. You probably need to have something to strap.
We have the computer strap down and the monitor strap in this one anyway.
So people wouldn't think a computer's all that big of a deal, but think about a little,
heavy.
little 7-pound computer flying at you. You just had this wreck.
It would kill you.
Yeah, definitely. So think about those things when you're in the back of the ambulance. The other thing that I highly recommend you guys do is that if you're working on a patient, sometimes you have to be unstrapped. But with our monitors and the technology where it is, most of your patients, you could wear a seatbelt, sit next to the patient on the bench, or even sit at the head, still monitor your patient and be seatbelted in, and only unbelt very rarely to do procedures. And there's very few procedures once you have everything set up that you even have to unbelt to do. Try to always have your belt on in the back of the ambulance. I mean, I know you guys don't do many transfers, but if you're on a transfer, find yourself on a transfer, set that ambulance up so you don't have to unbelt. Whether you need to, get a few flushes and your medication sitting next to you or something, so that you don't have to unbelt. The last thing that you want to do is be unbelted whenever the thing goes to come in.
I don't want to be in that.
I don't either.
No matter what, even belted.
So back injuries, most common cause of lost work and long-term disability among EMS providers. Proper lifting and moving techniques should be used in order to prevent injury. We are getting better at this with technology, but I'm going to say that there's still that risk whenever you're moving a patient from the ground to your cot. So I have twinged my back on a little 90-year-old lady just because I thought, oh, she's a little 90-year-old lady. I reach over rather than lifting her properly, reach over to pick her up, and all of a sudden I have shocks going down my leg. So don't do what I did. Don't be a Rob. Go ahead and lift every patient as they were that heavy patient. Lift them properly. You don't want to mess your back up. That's not an injury that, if you do a real good job on your back, it's not an injury that you ever really have, get that quality of life back once you mess up. Look at all these people with back surgeries and things like that. It's just insane. I don't want to mess my back up. So, key elements of proper lifting: anticipate a career of lifting. That goes into that lifting every patient like they're that heavy patient. Know your limitations, request assistance when needed. Most time your sheriff's department, your local fire guys, if you really need it, those guys are really good about coming out and helping you lift. Lift using the proper power lift technique and pay attention to minor injury. So that twinge, I went ahead and actually I was working at an AMR at the time. They went ahead and put me off for a week, and they paid me to be off for that week. And I know that you guys are a volunteer service, but if you have something that you hurt your back, don't ignore it. Get it better before you start running calls again, or get it better before you start lifting on calls again. Sometimes you get somebody come to your lifting for you and let your back heal. So don't ignore them. Key elements of proper lifting: you must set the example and help build a culture in which lift assistance is the norm rather than the exception. And that's out here. I think we're really good about requesting help whenever we need it. Even the guys don't really have a problem asking for help, which is good. I've worked at the services where we tried to lift everything we could, and only on a very rare circumstance that we have somebody help us. So, attempting a lift without proper capabilities is unsafe to both you and the patient. That's true. So your back goes out trying to lift them down the stairs, and you fall down. You think that's what that's going to do on the patient?
I think somebody at Elk the other day brought it to me, and she was telling about the fire department where somebody kind of picked her up and they dropped her
Whoops.
because she was. I just kind of heard of,
Yeah.
I was kind of in the background, kind of heard it, and I was like, hey.
Yeah.
I was like, well, it didn't hurt me, but I sure was worried about them.
Drops happen. It's just part of the job, but you need to try to prevent them. So the biggest time they happen is whenever your power load system all of a sudden gives out on the ass. So prevent high risk exposure by use of infection control. Prevent high risk exposure by using appropriate personal protective equipment and using simple strategies such as washing your hands, handling sharp safely, and understanding standard precautions. I've been building a new checklist, and one of the things I noticed on the state's website was that you have a hand sanitizing station, which obviously your little bottle of Purell or whatever works fine. Now, we should be washing our hands anytime we drop a patient off. Wash our hands before we leave the room. We're good to go. But I went ahead and I thought, well, you know what? You go into the ER rooms, they have the little station. I started mounting them in the ambulances, so I have three of them with that.
Just the alcohol.
Yeah, the Purell alcohol foam sanitizer. Yeah.
Those now in March.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, it's a good idea. Oh, did you?
Well, it was just in a bad spot, and nobody ever used it. And every time you backed up, or somebody was getting it, like it was sitting right on the counter, and it would pour out on the monitor. It would pour out on stuff. So I'd go, and so we ripped up the wall.
I mounted mine by my where they have all the gloves. So
yeah.
I thought that made sense. We'll see how it works.
Well, we had one mounted like when you walked in that one side door.
Yeah.
Right there.
Okay.
That was a good place for that one. But the other one's a tough one.
So handling sharp safely, like Kim mentioned earlier, most EMS services are good at. They've gone to the safety caps of some sort. I cannot believe Roger Mills Hospital will not. They still use the old Jellicos, no safety cap, because so and so don't want to go. It's always somebody else's fault why they do. Yeah, and I don't understand that.
We're supposed to be totally legal.
And
basically.
yeah, definitely. And that's where we should be. especially in a moving unit. So ambulance-wise, made sure that on ours, and I think you guys probably your IV tubing, you have lure locks in your IV tubing.
They didn't used to. That was what I told him back before.
Yeah.
When I first came paramedic, I said, we have got to get the tubing word.
Yeah.
We didn't have that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, needleless is the way to go. Now they do make some for drawing out your medications. They do make a plastic. I hate those things. That's the one needle I'm gonna have is for drawing out medications. Now, when you get done with that, you just unscrew your needle and just use your lure lock.
Right.
But your risk of contamination from that needle stick from drawing the medication up is zero. It's just gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't hit the patient. Now, if you do stick yourself, obviously don't then give the medication to the patient. You're just gonna waste it and start over. But needleless is the way to go, and I think you guys are really smart for doing that too. So using standard precautions, I still have a couple old school people that won't wear gloves. Kim says she has a hard time. So don't quote me on this, but I believe it is the gloves that have reduced the RNs. RNs, the big thing that you got as an RN was Hep C. It's like all the old nurses had Hep C because they didn't wear gloves. You're just elbows deep in blood, especially in the ER, and your chance of getting Hep C is pretty high. And gloves have brought that down tremendously. There are the patients or the procedures I do, like putting on a blood pressure cuff that a lot of times if I didn't have gloves on, say I just walked up, to help the crews out, I'll go ahead and put the blood pressure cuff on without it. But I try to wear gloves all the time. There are different kinds of gloves, different feeling. I did bring a fire truck over here.
They're doing the.
laying out the.
Oh,
They're doing
okay.
the post check. They had a huge house fire over here today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, first they have to get it. Leedey County Sheriff called Darren up and said, there was no reason why you guys couldn't save that house. Me and this county sheriff were fixing to come to blows. Because he's the one that told us, he called Darren one night after he had done a run and said, you guys need to get better about being with that on time and faster, and you need to do this, you need to do that. And Darren was telling us all of this, and he was all upset because we could get in trouble, and he said he was going to shut us down. I said, you can tell him to call me. I'm going to do that.
We've
already had that one.
Yeah, we'll talk about this. I don't want to say anything about sheriff on, but I'll tell you some things about some sheriff. So, so anyway, and you guys might have run into some of our sheriff problems.
We're running into a lot because Karen's trying to get us to put using meals into the food.
Oh, okay.
We're going to get lucky. Because I don't like you.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Anyway, we'll talk off the record. So using standard precautions, gloves. I'm just gonna say, even though I don't do it, I'm not a good example here. I try to do it all the time, but I just said there are other times. But gloves are a must. You're gonna go touch a patient, you need to have gloves on. It's not just for your safety; it's also for their safety. So. You get a good gory scene, and you need to judge it beyond that. If it's an active bleeder, eye protection, all the way up to a gown. And whenever you walk in and the police department tells you to put on a marshmallow suit, you know it's bad. So the marshmallow suits are those white self-containment suits. Yeah, then you know it's bad. Beth and I walked in on. They're like, "You're gonna want to put those on." Okay.
I think I've seen that in the
I was like, well, yeah.
Benny,
Yes, I'm right
Kelsey
here.
called me and
So standard precautions, decide what precautions are needed as you consider the circumstances. And I just kind of said that. But, gloves and hand washing are minimum. I said that. Jeez. Face counts and respiratory precautions as needed. So we could talk about different things, such as if you know that there's a house that has tuberculosis, you might.
Whatever your N95.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm trying to think of
on the truck.
I'm trying to think of the proper way to say it without breaking HIPAA, but such and such, maybe such and such house has had tuberculosis there. TB.
What about those houses like a meth house? You know, they talk about that stuff getting in the walls.
Yeah. Yeah, you know.
Those kind of masks help you? I don't know.
The N95s? I don't know. That'd be something that.
I've
Yeah.
never, I've never.
Your meth houses? You guys have? I'm sure we have them.
I mean, I don't know of, I'm sure we do. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
We haven't been in one that we know
We
of.
don't live here.
Now,
Yeah.
there's some houses around here that are questionable.
Yeah.
But we've not ever been called.
I don't know. I often wonder about that one yelling house up there. We keep going too long.
Well, yeah,
But-
I know, I wonder.
But I mean, I've never encountered anything that was suspicious.
Yeah. I think a meth house, you're probably going to end up being in there before you realize what's going
Before
on.
you
Yeah.
know what you need to
And just get your patient and get out. You know, but if you have a suspected meth house, I would probably get sheriff office involved, or get
Oh, yeah.
Darren to go with you guys, because
Oh, yeah.
last thing you need to do is go in there and create a spark and blow up their
Blow
house.
up everybody.
That's a scary situation in
Yeah,
meth houses.
that's kind of like this house that burned. Supposedly electricity won't do it. But it was like an electrical fire,
Huh. So
and it had been broken into.
So decide what precautions are needed as you consider circumstances. Modalities such as IV catheterization, advanced airway placement, or medication administration require additional attention to standard precautions. So the airway, you are going to want to go ahead and do a minimum eye protection. But if you could have one of those full face shields or something like that, that is the ideal way to go. Because you can cause them to cough. Or gag or whatever, puke. Reevaluate and choose the appropriate level of personal protective equipment accordingly. As an EMT, your decision will be setting an example for others. It is necessary for an EMT to handle sharps safely. So we kind of already talked about the sharps thing, but setting an example. Kim, you have some new people here, and so they're going to learn from your culture that you set, and you're kind of new yourself as on the EMS director side, and so it's kind of up to you to become this leader. This is how we do it type thing.
You're our mama.
Yeah, and and they see you do it. They see their leader do it, and they're gonna be more willing to do it. And you're gonna have the people that like what I have, the Veras that, you know what, you're gonna just talk to your blue in the face. But I keep talking. So place standard precaution equipment in a readily available location. I don't know, where your guys is. We have on ours. I put it on the inside-outside cabinet. So if you get into a scene you need it, you can just open a door and grab it. Or if you're in the back of the ambulance and you need it, you can just open the cabinet. But just the important thing is that everybody knows where that equipment is. So be comfortable handling sharps. Be careful with the sharps. We had a needle stick, and it was somebody handing somebody a sharp. So, hey, well, can you put this in there? They grabbed it. Be careful with that. It's probably better that if you have the sharp, you go ahead and put it in the sharps container rather than try to hand it off. Understand equipment decontamination procedures. We use Cavicide for almost all of ours, and I'm sure you guys have some chemical that you order from an EMS provider that you laryngoscope blades. You guys went disposable. That's very smart. trying to think I think laryngoscope blades is about all I have. Well, in my cot mattress and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
We use those.
my, have you found any blades that don't bend? Do you have the plastic disposable? There's always bend on them. And that's me. They have a metal, but it's about twice as expensive as the plastic. But as much as we innovate at my service, I'd probably be better off with it. Until I get somebody that thinks it's reusable and just cleans it up.
Yeah.
Understand equipment became, and then use disposable equipment. And Kim was just saying that most everything that Leedey carries is disposable, and that's a very wise thing to do. I've been trying to do that myself. I was telling her I think the only thing I have left is my laryngoscope blades. But even like our vacuum splints, we went disposable on it. I found that I was sending so many of them in the city and losing them that it was going to be cheaper because I was replacing reusable splints with reusable splints, and I was having to buy these reusable splints all the time. I was like, why not just pay half the price, get the disposable, and not even worry about it? We went disposable headbeds rather than those foam blocks, which those foam blocks are really nice until they start to crack. And most small services, they use them way past the cracking phase. And so when I wrecked in Roger Mills, we had a lot of them that were, it's like the foam was exposed, that protective layer, like, and now we're getting rid of these. Hey, look, that guy has a torn glove. I'm actually guilty of, I'll tear a finger off of a glove. And then above the tourniquet, after I clean off, I'll put a fresh alcohol prep on top of there. Yeah. It's just something. It's on those hard sticks where you got to keep trying. Yeah. So wellness. Leading a healthy lifestyle can benefit EMTs. Concepts to incorporate into a wellness plan include regular exercise, healthy diet, rest, routine and regular medical care, and stress management. I'm Facebook friends with your daughter, Kelsey, and it looks like she is. Yes, it looks like she's.
So is Angel.
Yes, an Angel.
Did you see they've been running?
I did see the Angel completed a 5K. Exercise doesn't have to be brutal. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to go and mind-numbingly run for hundreds of miles. 5Ks are fun. And whenever you have that goal to do that 5K, you're more motivated to run on the boring thing. But you could also do, fun things for your exercise. Don't ask me what they are, but run around, play paintball. I don't know. Walk is a good exercise. Yeah, that's true. Play basketball. But, healthy diet. We talked about this. It's something that's really hard to do in EMS world. Seems like whenever we do sit down for a healthy meal, we get toned out, and then they just eat at McDonald's at 3 a.m.
Exactly.
So, rest. On your days off, it's important to get your 8 hours of sleep. And once again, that's a hard thing. It seems like that illness that they've had for 2 weeks all of a sudden became an emergency at 2:30 in the morning because they couldn't sleep. So, routine and regular medical care. That's something that I need to get better at. I need to get an annual checkup. But I tend to just go whenever I'm sick or whenever, because I have Crohn's, whenever my GI doc makes me come in for a checkup for medicine refills.
Dr. George makes me run it. Frank has to go in every 3 months.
Wow.
He's getting mad.
So,
He's a diabetic.
He's a stickler about you.
luckily, Dr. Ruskowski, I never have any trouble with my Crohn's. So he's supposed to see me every year to keep that patient doctor a relationship, but we quite often go about 3 years without seeing each other. So, and he refills me every time. Because I tell him every time if I have a problem, I'm going to call you. Stress management. I've been really terrible at stress management. I've been trying to get better at it. Sometimes you just got to let things go. I can't control this situation. I need to learn to say no. I just sent in a can for this EMR. I have no desire to teach an EMR class. Yes, there's a need in the Sarah area for one, but I have no desire to teach one. I just need to learn to say, you know what, I can't help you out. I'm at a comfortable place on my rating. I like coming over here and talking with you guys. I think it helps our services be better, work better together because we kind of now we talk more about what each service is doing and kind of our services are getting a little closer and even treatments of what they do. So I like hanging out with you guys. I like teaching CPR classes for Southwestern. I like doing my people's meetings, and you know what? That takes up all those things right there take up a lot of time, and I need to learn to say no. But stress management's important. I got pretty stressed out here in the past year. Several things are going on. One, we had the CEO change, and I don't think she loved me all that much by some of our conversations. And that's fine. And so I just stopped. I don't visit her. And if she has anything to say to me, she can come talk to me. And that is on the record. And so the other thing I've been trying to do is just lifestyle changes. I've been trying to, take that time and not worry about, I guess they say don't sweat the small stuff. It really is a frame of mind. I can let myself get stressed out about a lot of things sometimes, and if I just, you know what, it is what it is, and I'll get it taken care of when I get taken care of. And I've actually probably in the last month and a half been doing a lot better. I could tell that my mental health, my ability to pay attention to what my wife's saying, and remember the things that she says has increased, and that's when I knew I kind of had a problem. I couldn't remember. I had a hard time remembering things. I thought I was getting Alzheimer's, but I think it was stress. So anyway, here's some diseases. I'm not going to read these whole things to you, but I just want to tell you certain things about like AIDS. Your chance of acquiring AIDS is slim to none. AIDS is one of those off of, let's say, a dry drop of blood. AIDS is one that a virus that once it hits the air, it dies. As a matter of fact, I forget the exact statistics, but you have less than 1% chance of acquiring AIDS with a fresh needle stick from an AIDS victim. Where you do develop, I think it's around a 1% chance of AIDS, is if you have a stick with injection. So you had a needle plunger full of blood and it stuck and injected. And so don't let that scare you in treating patients because once the blood hits the air, it's basically dead. Now, the scary thing about it, the incubation period is several months or years. So you might get exposed, and I've had to go through this whole process. And they have you come, they do the initial, they do a 3 month, 6 month, I believe a year and 2 year out, I had to get checked. And it was good to go. So, be cognizant of needle sticks and things like that, but don't be scared just because somebody's bleeding that they might have AIDS. The one that you want to be scared of for bleeding is the hepatitis. That's some pretty strong stuff. The hepatitis, it could be blood, stool, or other bodily fluids or contaminated objects. Incubation period weeks to months, depending on type. And it can actually live outside the body for a period of time, unlike AIDS. So, chicken pox is probably everybody has had an exposure to chicken pox or had the chicken pox. You can always go get your titers drawn. I think that's a big thing that they're starting to have healthcare providers do is get their titers drawn to see where they're at. Because as adults, the chicken pox can really knock us out. So it could do a number on us. Do you require people to get the Hep B vaccination?
When we first started, Dr. Perkins was our medical director, and he was bringing all that stuff and got everybody up to date.
Gotcha.
But now,
you might talk to Jamie and see.
we haven't done any of that since. gotten to where most people, the younger people had their shots
yeah.
in school, like
It's,
all my kids had their shots in school.
you do have to be careful about the titer levels though,
I know, because I had to go back
and redo it.
and had to have mine redone.
I need to have my titers drawn.
Yeah.
Bacterial meningitis, to me, that's a scary dude. I've run patients with bacterial meningitis that, they did not have the signs and symptoms that is supposed to be, the sore neck, they look down, their knees come up. It was confusion is all we had. Confusion. Okay. And they couldn't figure it out. They flew the patient, and we drop them off. And then I get the call, hey, you need to go take an antibiotic because they had bacterial meningitis. They could, last thing, we'll do a spinal tap and see what it is. And they, hey, look, it's bacterial meningitis. So bacterial meningitis is scary to me. And because it's, it can be spread pretty easy. Go through this, blah, blah, blah. TB, I did talk about TB a little bit earlier, but understand that you actually have to be in a room with the droplets in the air, and you have to have a long exposure to it. So if you're in, let's say in the back of the ambulance for 6 hours is what I was told whenever we were transporting TB patients, without any ventilation, then you have a risk of contracting it. But as long as you are turning on your exhaust, running your air, and then going ahead and either put the mask on them or yourself, you're good to go. So don't be scared just because you had to go to, we talked about the TB house, that you're going to have TB. A good chance that you're not. I'll use the Native American population because that's who has it a lot. What they do, the Native Americans do, is they tend to, they just kind of live in a house and people come over and stay there. And sometimes people are there for weeks at a time, without even going outside. It's dark. There's not a whole lot of air movement. And that's how the TB spread throughout the Native American community. So whooping cough, pertussis, please, gosh, I'm so sick of these anti-vax people. Please get your pertussis vaccination. Don't kill the babies. So. Those guys are loading an ambulance. So luckily we don't have to go through this whole procedure anymore. Lift that heavy cot, that's an auto load one.
It looks like our ambulance. Our one out here, that green with the gold.
But there's Leedey's ambulance on there. So, luckily both services have power load system. Kim, this is kind of off this training subject. Make sure you go over your people, the manual load feature. Now I had 2 instances where they couldn't get it to work. It was more what they did more than the cot thing not working. And
We have those incidences, so.
and they didn't think to go to the manual procedures.
Yeah. And ours is plaqued on the back
ours,
of the door.
all of them are.
Yes.
Oh, that's something. I think that is something that
They do that.
Stryker does. And so yes, please. I went over it. I'm going to go over it again, and I'm probably going to make an annual thing with my people. It's hard for me. I used to not have very much turnover, and I don't have a lot of turnover, but I take on a lot of people, and it's hard for me to realize, or I didn't realize. I have some people that are brand new. Yeah, that never used one, and so. They come on board, they just hang out with my people, and I forgot they never really had a training on it. So. Did you guys get chevrons in the back? No. I didn't either. I may.
Those chevrons.
Aren't they
Oh,
expensive to do?
Yeah, I just didn't like it. I just didn't like the looks, and what we were planning to do is due to the fact that these ambulances was one of the last things Kenneth wanted. He kind of started the ball rolling. We're going to have a deal put on both the back of the ambulances and Marion.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So, I'll be surprised if they
But
don't.
ours has a reflective green.
Oh, that's cool.
It's reflective.
Yeah.
It said it really lights up when you look at it. So.
I will be surprised if they don't make chevrons a requirement before too long. Well, not a retro where.
Something that has to be reflective.
Yeah. So. So, all right, reacting to danger. Anyway, we'll just get through one. It's like 7:15. We'll just go. I was going to do therapeutic communication, but I think we'll probably go to 7:30 anyway with this. 15 minutes. So. The best ways to deal with violence are through observation and prevention. Call for help, use of cover, use of concealment, and retreating when necessary. Call for help. If you come to a scene and you find out that maybe it's a domestic or a shooting, the thing I would do, retreat and call for help. Your Mitch's what's Beth to Mitch? Okay, so Mitch's aunt. I wasn't with her, but the notorious story is that there was a guy shot with a shotgun, and rather than stand off, Beth just goes in and gets him entrenched. But back in the day, we weren't as concerned with scene safety as we are now. We had that. No, people aren't here to hurt us, type thing. So, but crazy people are crazy. They don't care, and they're everywhere. Crazy people.
I've been calling all the cops the same thing as shooting.
Yeah. So use of cover. Cover would be something that is going to stop a bullet. I'm not going to try to act like I know what's going to stop a rifle round, because I know that probably some military guy would just happen to see it if I said that an ambulance engine would stop a rifle round, and they would tell me absolutely not, it's going to go right, blah, blah, blah. So, but you do want to use things such as brick walls or berms, things like that are good cover. Concealment is just you're hiding. It could be a bush or something like that. So maybe you can get a better scene or a better view of the scene to see if you're all right. And then you concealed, you looked around, the guy sells a gun, retreat. So on a more serious note, this is where I feel dispatch could be a big help to us. If they could just get nature of the call and let us know what it is. Stop letting us go in on attempted suicide. Because this person, if they really want to die, they really don't care if if they kill you too. So we've had the stories in Wichita where a person sitting there with a 357, they're not going to shoot themselves. They took a whole bunch of pills. They're going to die nice and slow, but you're not going to stop them. And so it'd be nice if we knew that. And sheriff, who are trained to deal with these situations and have body armor and guns if they need it, could go and take care of that and get the scene safe for us. So I just... We
usually call. When we go, Brian and I usually start out from the house. We call and ask them, what is the nature of the call?
I don't know. They whenever I first came, they're like, well, that's too much information because people are listening to their scanners. I was like, well, then don't tell me where I'm going. Just give me an address and nature of call.
Why can't you tell them nature of call? That's not.
No, you need nature of call. You need the nature of call.
It's not HIPAA.
No, exactly.
If you don't know who you're going to, just tell them what's going on.
They used
But
to.
the bad thing is everybody knows where everybody lives.
And they
so
do.
Like, that's so-and-so's address.
I can honestly say I don't know where everybody
Oh, well,
lives.
that's true.
Well, and some people,
You
or
tell me.
some of the dispatchers, the older ones, go, you're going to go to the so-and-so residence. It's like, I don't need the residence. I just need the address.
Well, and over here, we ask for the resident. What we do, normally we get paged out, then we call them and say, whose residence is it? Because if you tell us an address, most of the time we don't know the
I
address.
got you. Yeah.
But if you give us the resident's name, we can pretty well tell you where it's at. Just tell us the nature of the call.
So you guys are guilty of that, knowing where everybody lives, I think, and so it's easier.
Give you an address for nothing.
It's easier for you to go to where they live now. For me, not growing up and being around the Cheyenne or Roger Mills area, I need an address because I could go to an address, but I can't go to Sally Struthers' house. So, it's funny.
Even out in the country, we're like, just tell us whose house it is.
Because I have the old.
I drove the mail route for 5 years. Tell me whose house it is.
And then you gotta tell Angel who do they live by or what
Yeah.
bar you turn out.
Obviously, Vera knows where everybody lives,
Exactly.
and so it's easier for her to get the name as well. For me, don't give me a name. and a lot of my people don't give them a name. So, there's an example of cover. The guy's covered with a pretty sweet mustache there. This is concealment, so you have a bush there, just kind of peeking around, making sure that it's seen safe. My only question is,
They're on the other side.
why are we this close to the house to use this concealment if we don't know the scene is safe? Yeah. Yeah. So lifting, moving, we already talked about back injuries. We already talked about all this stuff. This is kind of stress management. Stress can damage your health and well-being, and I kind of told you guys that my memory was shot, and luckily I've been able to offload some stress, and one of them was the NBA program, but and so I'm getting better, and so you have types of stress reactions include acute stress reaction, delayed stress reaction, and cumulative stress reaction. So acute stress reaction is you basically you come to, let's say, a bad scene, you basically shut down here and now, you're done. Delayed is you go to that scene, you run the call, and 3 hours later you're a bawling mess. Let's see, that might be my battery is dying.
Here, can you plug it into that?
No, it's Dawn.
Oh. Oh, Dawn's battery's dying.
I'm like, well, so is mine, but we're still doing this.
I'm trying to find where she took message me. My battery is dying, plugged in, but may lose you. Sunland me in, please. I don't even know what that means, Dawn. Sunland me in, please.
Autocorrect.
I hate
What
it.
is it correct, though?
I typed Forrest Gump one day, and it corrected to hump Forrest. I was like, seriously?
You gotta double check everything.
I know.
Oh, sign me in on her sheet. I'll just leave the original.
I put Dawn's name in.
Okay, I'll just leave the original here,
Sunday.
and this is something for everybody. I leave the originals with Kim. I think we leave them on the table.
Yeah.
You need.
I do have a folder here.
I need everybody to sign every one, just so whenever renewal time comes, we make sure we have all the appropriate hours. And so if we get audited, because we're putting it out there, watch it on the thing, sign the sheet. So if we get audited, it's here. So employee strategies minimize stress. Yeah, let's go. All right. So 7:26. We could do therapeutic communication if you guys want, or we could just kind of wind up, talk about a few things, and call it a night. It's whatever you guys want to do. So we can get into a little bit of therapeutic communication, because I think it's important. Let's see how some slide they have on it. 24. What? That worked itself out, didn't it?
Loretta kept saying, so we left that night. She goes, I told you, just give it time to work out. I'm like, I know, but I was sure stressed about it for a while.
I think this was an important topic, and I don't want to rush it. So we'll maybe pick it up. I need to do airway with you guys. I wanted more people to be here, because I was going to bring you our CPAP to show you how ours works. See if you guys would be interested in going that way. But I also want to go over keying airway insertions and stuff like that with everybody, because I know it's been a little while. And Brian said he was interested in it.
Yeah.
And so I was going to do that tonight, but I wanted more people here. When everybody canceled, I decided not to do that. And so maybe next meeting we'll do therapeutic communications, and then do like an airway lab where we actually do hands-on stuff. Try to get this done in 45 minutes to an hour, and then do a lab. Do you guys have an innovation mannequin?
All we have is Amy.
No, you got that one right there. Isn't that an innovation mannequin? Behind you. Yeah, right there.
I think that's just Amy.
Annie's in the big box, right?
Yeah.
There.
I don't know.
There, I'll finish up the thing. So anyway, if you watch these slides, make sure that you sign the roster, sign the roster anyway. And I am out. Dawn, do you have any questions? So if you do watch this and you have any questions or comments, let me know. You can send me an email, send me a text, and then I will answer it. And if it's something that I feel like everybody would want to know, I'll retype the question, and if you want, I'll give you credit for it. But retype the question and send it so they don't have to know it's your question, and then answer it. So if you have any questions, let me know. Have a good night.